it's Calico here, and I'm back sooner than I thought I would be, because every time I say I'm not going to be back for a while, then I usually come back soon, and when I think I'm going to be back soon, it usually takes me months. So I'm here. Anyway, I have, this is going to be kind of a all over the place video. So, because I've been sort of filming it in bits and pieces here and there as I've had things to show you, so you're going to see me clipping away and showing different things. So bear with me while I do all my switcheroo. What am I going to talk about in this video? Well, first of all, hi everybody. I hope everybody is doing well. It is June 2nd already. I can't believe that. I'm sitting out on my deck, and hopefully it'll remain quiet with no lawnmowers or dogs barking. I did hear some thunder because I think a storm is moving in soon, but we'll see. This particular clip I don't think is going to be too long, so we should be good. In this video, I'm going to show a little bit of stitching that I've done, but since it hasn't been that long since I've seen you, there's not that much to show. I have one thing that I bought, and then I'm going to clip away. I'm going to insert a clip of some fabric that I did some aging on, and I'm going to say it now because I was having some technical difficulties when I was filming that, and I had to chop a lot of it out. So part of what I chopped out is, once again, I want to give credit to Vanna Pfeiffer over at Twisted Stitcher for her basting and baking, or her bacon basted technique. Not bacon basted, bake and basted. That was so funny when you said that. Suzette at the Primitive Stitcher. She had, I think it was last August, did some tutorials on using vanilla extract and different dyeing techniques, and then I watched Farm Girl's technique when she did the low immersion. So I just used a combination. I kind of grabbed it. Oh, and also I had showed you in my last video that I bought that distressing like a distressing spray that I found on clearance, and I was wondering if it would work. And since then, I had seen that Amanda over at Ampu Stitcher, hi Amanda, made a beautiful piece of fabric with, she had the same idea I did, to use that stain. So I think that part got cut out. So when I send you off to that clip later on in this video, just understand that I just used a lot of those techniques, and I'll try to link all those videos below. If I forget to do that, though, they're in the video right before this. So I had a lot of fun with that. I'm also going to, oh yes, that sampler. Once again, I keep promising that I came across that vintage sampler, not at a thrift store, but in a storage unit, and I keep saying I want to show that to you guys, so I'm going to insert that in this clip too, probably at the end. I just kind of do a close-up view of it and show all the different motifs, and you know, just get a close-up of it for those of you that might be interested in that. And if anybody can tell me anything about it, I guess that's kind of the main thing I want to show you. Is the only thing I know about it is that it's a French sampler, and it was stitched with Berlin wool. Somebody had told me from looking at the picture. So, and that it seems to be authentic from, 1887. So I'm kind of excited about it. Would love to just know anything that any of you have, any information you have, like what the motifs mean or anything like that. So I've inserted that. I'll insert that probably at the end. And other than that, the last thing is I have a really exciting story to tell, something that is really exciting for me, and it's stitching related, and I hope that you guys would appreciate it, because nobody else other than my husband and my sons would really appreciate what an honor this was for me and how excited I am about it. So I would like to tell that story. So sorry, FLosstube itchy nose, and I'm chewing gum, and I'm trying not to smack my gum, but I just have a really dry mouth. I exercised today. I got up early. I'm really trying to be good with the exercising. My boys and I are training for a 5K, so we're gonna run it on Father's Day. So yesterday I went running, and today my legs were killing me, but I got up early and I worked out on the elliptical rider for a little while too. I'm not new to running. I've ran a marathon in the past, but over the years I've I've let myself go, because running was really hard on my body. When I was in college, I actually, well, when I was really young, I hated running, could never run at all. And then when I was in college, I needed like a low credit class, so I took a class called Walk, Jog, Run. And one of the things that we did in the class is we signed up for a local 5K and we ran it. And I became obsessed with running, and I ran in so many 5Ks after that. I collected all the t-shirts. I was going to make a quilt out of them. I just was like the 5K queen. I just did them all. Jingle Bell Run, the New Year's Eve resolution run, the turkey trot, the you name it, the zoo run, the whatever. I did them all. And then I had this crazy idea with my sister-in-law to run a half marathon. And I was like, yeah, I think we can do it. So we ran a half marathon with, there's a few of you out there from Colorado and you'll know what I'm talking about. It's a half marathon where you start there's a little mountain town called Georgetown and another mountain town called Idaho Springs, and you run from Georgetown to Idaho Springs, and it's kind of a downhill run. So we did a half marathon, and then we said, hey, let's do a marathon. So we signed up and did the Rock and Roll Marathon in San Diego, California, that was in 2001. And then I got pregnant with my son later on that year, my first son, and I ended up running until I was even 7 months pregnant. Was even jogging, and pretty much the only thing that even stopped me then was my bladder. I just couldn't run very far because I always had to pee. So, wow, I just really digressed. I was not even going to talk about that at all, but point is, yes, I think my sons and I are going to try to run a 5K, and I'm just trying to get in better shape. So, aren't we all? What have I been doing? So, since we've last, I have an FFO to talk about too. Okay, well, let's talk about this first, because I have a confession to go along with that one too. So, really quickly, since I don't have much stitching to show, I have worked on Feasting Frenzy, but I'm not going to show you because I only have 1.5 more birds to stitch on that, and I think I'm just going to wait until it's done and show that, because it's, yeah, it's pretty close to a finish. So I did work on that, and then on Instagram, I've seen many people work on the this freebie from Not Forgotten Farm called the Flag Maker, and I recently saw a friend of mine stitching it again, and I'm like, every time I see somebody stitching that, I want to do it. So on Memorial Day, I decided to work on this one, the Flag Maker. It is a free pattern from Not Forgotten Farm, and I am working along on that along with Feasting Frenzy. I changed it a little bit. I made the bottom part of her dress a little narrower only because it was charted to be as wide as the flag, and it almost looked like the flag was part of the dress. I just wanted to make it look like there was more of a break there. Her dress, kind of her standing behind the flag. So I narrowed that just a little bit, but I don't have too much more to do on that, and that's all I've been up to stitching-wise. Are those two things. And then I want to show you, if you're on Instagram, you have seen my giraffe finish that I did, my FFO. But there's a confession to make about that. And sorry, I'm not going to be as creative as Taryn. Hi, Taryn, and put you in my glove box for this confession, but it is a confession nonetheless. And it's actually, okay, so let me just show you. Okay, this is the finish I have. I'm going to put it like this. This is my very first flat fold, and the reason I'm holding it sideways is because, and on Instagram you'll see that I took a picture of this, but when I went to go take a picture of it on Instagram, and I didn't even know this before, but if you look, it's crooked. Can you see how I went? See how this part goes down? Oh, drove me crazy. I didn't even see that. When I was gluing this, I was so careful to make sure everything was straight, everything was done. I had it sitting there, and I went to go take pictures of Instagram, and I stood back, and I was like, those are crooked! Ah! It drove me crazy, because it's all well glued, and I think it turned out so cute, but it's crooked, and it bugs me. So actually, in my pocket, right before this video, I had this idea, and I was going to see how it looked. I was just wondering, like, if I get a button or something like that, and maybe it's going to have to be a bigger button than that. I'm going to have to do some buttons and bows or something to kind of take away from the fact that it's crooked. It's not that bad. Yeah, believe me, it's not that bad. I can live with it, but it just bugs me that I was trying to be so straight with it, and it just kind of goes down that way. So, which is a reason why I will never do finishing for a living, that's for sure. We'll leave that to Vanna. But yeah, I followed Vanna's tutorial on a flat fold, and you can see, here's my little ribbon. Oh yeah, you can see some glue. I was a little messy with my glue because I thought I had some, she uses a spray glue for part of, like, for doing some of the finishing, and I thought I had some. I did have some, but I didn't realize it was 10 years old. It was from when I used to scrapbook, so I went to go use it, and I could not get anything to spray out of the nozzle, and it was night, and I still wanted to do this, and so I thought, oh, I can wing it with just my regular glue. So if you followed her tutorial, she puts a little bit of that spray here, and say I didn't, so that's why mine kind of wobbles like that a little bit, and you can see some of my glue on the top, which I might put some cording around there just to hide some of my mistakes, but it's not big of a deal, you know. And I didn't keep it drying under the book long enough, so it has a little bit of a, can you see too there, just kind of has a little bit of a curve to it because I was impatient and I didn't let it dry underneath the heavy books long enough. But beyond that, I am just thrilled with my little flat fold finish and my little April. I was going to make a Christmas ornament out of it, and it was actually my husband who gave me the hardest time ever for watching this giraffe cam. He could not believe that I would spend time watching that cam because I used to watch the eagle cam, and then I get upset when something bad happens, and he's like, you know, why do you do that to yourself? Why do you watch those cameras? And anyway, then when the giraffe camera came on, he's like, why do you watch that? That is so boring. And then as time went on, he kind of got a little attached to April himself because I was gone one day, and then I had my iPad sitting on the kitchen counter with the camera running on it, and when I came back, he had taken screenshots of them feeding April some lettuce, and he took pictures, screenshots of it for me and saved it because he thought I might want to see it. So yeah, he was getting a little attached to April too. So anyway, he's like, are you sure you want to make a Christmas ornament out of that? Because then you'll only get to see it on the tree, you know, every once in a while. I'm like, you're right. I want this displayed all the time, so I'm going to make it in a flat fold. So that's it. It's my flat fold. And I'm happy to say that they did bring the giraffe cam back. Now it's going to be on, I think, Sundays through Fridays, so I get to watch it again in the afternoons if I want. Okay, enough of that, but yeah, give those flat folds a try, guys. As a matter of fact, I might redeem myself with this crooked one and try to make another one, and this time do it right with the right kind of glue and make it straight. Okay, moving on, because I think it's going to rain, and I'm expecting a package that I need to sign for, and I'm sure I'm going to get interrupted. So the only thing I bought was, I had a 60% off coupon at Joann's, and I bought this Afghan that you can cross stitch on, and the reason I bought it is because many years ago I bought this Afghan. If you can see, it's got birds, songbirds on it, but it was a stamped cross stitch, and it came with a piece of fabric that, you know, was stamped on it, and it kind of felt like a sheet, and I just never really liked it. So I think I'm going to attempt to stitch this pattern on this Afghan. I don't even know if it's going to fit. I don't really know anything about it, so I'm going to have to open it up and find out if the motifs are going to be big enough for this. But anyway, that's my plan to do someday with that. I'm starting to shiver. I'm cold out here for some reason, and it's really nice out, but this big ice tea I'm drinking is making me cold. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a quick story that's really exciting for me, and I'm going to try to not be too long-winded about it, but so you all know I like to take pictures of birds, and I wasn't always that way. And if you have watched my older videos, if you're new to my channel, you might not know that I used to insert bird photographs at the end of my videos, my earlier ones, but I had told a story that the way that whole thing started with me liking to photograph birds was back in 2009, and before that I never paid attention to birds at all. And I was doing Project 365, which is a photograph challenge where you take a photo a day every day for 365 days, and it was in May, and I was looking for something to take a picture of, and a bird landed in the grass, and I took a picture of it. Now, I didn't even know that that was a robin at the time. I even had to ask my husband, like, I took this picture of this bird, and he's like, well, that's a robin. I said, oh, I didn't even know that, because I knew nothing about birds. American robin. I think your robins look different in the UK, but this is an American robin we're talking about. But anyway, I proceeded to take a couple pictures of that bird and found out she was making a nest in my tree, which I then fell in love with, because I just never really paid attention much to nests or birds or anything like that. So I took a picture of her up in her nest, and sad to say, she did actually end up losing her nest. I think it got raided by a jay or something like that, and the little eggs broke. But before that happened, I took a picture of her sitting in a nest. I'll insert that picture here. And I loved that picture. It was like one of my favorite pictures I ever took, and it was what started my obsession with birds. I got a bird feeder after that and a bird bath, and it is now, you look what, this is what I am today. I mean, I stitch birds, everything. It's birds, 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 except for the giraffe, but mostly birds. And so every year on my banner on Facebook, I put that photo up as just kind of, it's just like my sign of spring. But that bird was just really special to me, because that's kind of like what started it all. Well, a couple of years ago, I was contacted by a private message from Paula from the Crosswing Collection. She's the owner and designer behind her cross stitch business, and it's all birds, and they're beautiful. I have like all of her patterns on my wish list, and the morning doves that I just did was made by her Crossstring Collection, and she also does fabrics too. So she contacted me through a private message and said that she loved my robin photo, and wondered if I would allow her permission to turn it into a cross stitch pattern. And I was like, yeah, that would be amazing, an amazing honor, go ahead and do that. So I was really excited about that, but I didn't tell anybody about it, because I thought, well, we'll see. And here I thought, a couple months later, she would just like have this pattern, but apparently there's a lot that goes into making a pattern. I obviously don't know that, because I don't make patterns, but some time went by, and she conversed with me over time, and this was like about 2 years ago. She contacted me earlier this year and said that it was going to be her new release for Nashville, and that she got it all done, and she was really excited for me to see it. And so she sent me a picture of it and everything, but told me that she was going to send me a pattern hot off the press and some fabric too. Well, I am excited to say that I actually got that in the mail this past week. So this is the pattern that was inspired by my photograph, and I'm so honored. I'm so excited. Now, she took a little artistic liberty. She put the little seed pods on there, which my picture doesn't have in it, because my tree does get those. I don't know why at the time it didn't, but she just, thought it would add some interest to it. So this is the American robin in the tree. And I found out after she had started charting that she said that she came across my photo at a time that was sort of a sad time in her life. Both her parents were declining in health, and she lost both of them within the same year. And it was then right after that, she had seen me post a picture of my robin, and she said that it just, kind of really hit her and reminded her that, after dark times, the spring always comes again, and it really meant a lot to her. So this photo really meant a lot to her. So it means a lot to both of us, and the fact that she's, one of my favorite designers, and she, made a chart. I've been grinning from ear to ear ever since this whole process started, and I've been dying to share it with you guys. So I just wanted to read really quick. So she's got the pattern, and on the inside of the pattern, right here, it says, "A special thank you to Christine Cornett Stone for giving me the opportunity to translate her beautiful photograph into a cross stitch." So that just means the world to me that I have my name on one of her patterns. I'm so excited. I mean, that would be like, for those of you that stitch Heaven and Earth Designs, having Michelle see a photo that you took on Facebook and saying, "Hey, can I turn that into a chart for you?" I mean, this is like a huge honor, because she is really one of my favorite designers. I drool over all of her patterns. So there's another part in here too that I just want to read really quick. She asked me to name the pattern too, and I said, oh gosh, you can't give me that responsibility. I'm terrible at naming things. So she decided to name it "And Then Comes Spring." So that's the name of it there. This is available in her store, the Crossstring Collection. I'll put a link down below. And just in case you're wondering, none of the proceeds go to me. So it's just, I'm just excited. I'm just tooting my horn because I'm just so thrilled that this happened with one of my favorite photos. So this is a little story that's in her chart. I hope she doesn't mind me reading this. But I just think it's really special that kind of what her thinking was when she saw this. It says, life is a journey, and on any journey there will be ups and downs, struggles, and then smooth sailing. This beautiful yet simple picture of a robin sitting on a nest presented itself to me while I was experiencing one of those challenging times in my life. I had just come through several very difficult years of watching my beloved parents decline, eventually leading to the loss of them both. This picture was a reminder to me that come spring the robins would most certainly return again to start the age-old tradition of gathering mud and grasses and building the nest in the crotch of the old maple tree. She would lay 3 to 4 beautiful aqua blue eggs, and then those chicks hatched, and when those chicks hatched, she would tug worms from neighboring lawns all day long, stuffing them down their gaping mouths, and when the right day came, those downy chicks would climb to the edge of their nest and take that big leap into life. Of faith into life. The age-old rhythms of the earth continue. Life for me will never be the same without my mom and dad, but the sun will most certainly rise again and spring will predictably return after the winter. This one is for you, Mom and Dad. Thank you for solid, well-planted roots, and most of all, thank you for the wings. Love you both forever and ever. Oh, that's so sweet. So, I am just so honored and thrilled. I just can't describe it. So, I should show you the fabric that she did, hand-dyed it, just specifically for it. So, I wanted to wait to start this to show you guys, but here is the fabric right here. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, I don't know if the colors are really being done justice on this, but it's just an absolutely beautiful piece of fabric. And I am so excited to start this. I will be starting it very, very soon. I just wanted to get this filmed and shown to you before I did put my first stitches into it. So that's it, guys. So next I'll send you off to show you the fabric that I dyed, or aged. I aged it. And after that, I'll go right into showing you the sampler, the vintage sampler. And I think that's it. I don't think there's anything else I have to say right now. So I don't think I say anything at the end of my video, so I'll just go ahead and say now that I hope you all have a great summer and that you're getting lots of stitching done. And I'm not even going to say when it is. I'll be back because I don't know for sure. But that's it for now, guys. Enjoy the rest of my video. Hi, guys. Okay, I just wanted to show the fabric that I dyed, the fruits of my labor, so to speak. I probably gave you an introduction right before this clip as to what it is I'm going to show you, so I'll just get right to it because I wanted to do it while I have some of the sun shining. I'm kind of in indirect light to try to get a true color. If you are on Instagram, you saw that I posted a picture of me in the kitchen being a mad scientist. This was purely just coffee, tea, vanilla extract, and I did try using this Tim Holtz Distressing Spray Stain. I wasn't sure. Amanda Ampu Stitcher had used it on one of her fabrics and it was beautiful, so I thought I would give it a try. I was informed by the wonderful Marika over at Craftybit Creations. She uses a lot of those distressing inks for paper product or paper crafting that she does. So she did warn me that this stuff, if you use it, to be careful because it reactivates again. Say if your hands were wet and you touched your fabric, it would reactivate. So I was planning on, if I did use this, that I would probably have to do some kind of a fixer afterwards. What I ended up doing with this anyway, I washed it off so many times and redid it that it's not, I think what's on the fabric is probably pretty embedded. So here is the first piece. So this was an 18 count white Aida when I started. So like I said, I can't really recreate this. I don't know exactly what I did. It's just a combination of immersing it in a mixture of coffee and tea, crinkling it up, putting it in the oven, pulling it out, crinkling it up, baking it, immersing it, all different kinds of things until it turned out. So this is a real subtle, this one I love. Now see, there's even some water stains, and I actually know how to recreate those great looking water stains at the end. So you'll see I did a piece. So see, look at that right there. So but I wanted to show you these before I start clipping them up and using them. So I really like the way this 18 count Aida, it was just 18 count Aida that I got at, I think it was the Charles Craft. So I like the way that turned out. Actually, oh, you know what? I don't think that was the Aida. No. Okay, I'm gonna put down here what that piece of fabric was that I just showed. I don't think that was the Aida. No, this is the Aida. This one ended up turning out like a piece of parchment paper. I love it. Like a well-aged piece of parchment. Now see, these are those spots I was talking about. Like that right there, you think, oh, I baked that too long. It just rinses out, guys, and you can do it again. So I left some of those in there because I love that, aged. Look at that big stain on the corner there. That, if you don't like it, you just rinse the whole thing out and that goes away. So, you know, and like I said, it's really forgiving. So this was the 18 count white Aida. This started out as white. I'm pretty sure. So, okay, now this is the one that I used, the Tim Holtz. This color happens to be Rusty Hinge. Now, you might, this one, and I also put all kinds of water droplet stains on this one too. This right here happened when I put a clippy on it to let it dry, and it sort of stained on it, and that does not wash off. So be careful what you clip with when you let it dry. But this is the selvage edge here, and so this is something I'll never use, so it's on a corner. I wasn't too bothered by that. But I love that. Now, to get these water stains, after you do your fabric and you let it dry, I just got one of these. I snagged this from my son's chemistry kit, this little pipette. If you just lay your fabric flat and just take water, just plain water, and drip it on the fabric and leave it alone, what it does is it takes the coffee that's kind of already in the fabric and it automatically kind of makes like a wet ring around it. So if you just drip water intermittently, and that's how I got these water stains on here. So it's kind of the opposite you'd think. Instead of dripping coffee on it, which you could do, I just dripped water and it just kind of pushed the stain away. So that, and then I got one more. This one I know for a fact started out as mushroom lugana. Mushroom, I'll put it there. I don't remember. So this, I don't know if you can see, this is the one that I used the Rusty Hinge spray on. Let me hold it back. But when I first sprayed it on, I sprayed it, of course, right in the middle. I didn't even test it on a corner. I sprayed it right in the middle, and when it first came out, it was like orange as orange could be. Like, I mean, yes, it did. It looked like I took a bucket from outside in the rain and that was filled with rust and dumped it on there. And it was like a spot right in the middle, and I'm like, oh, I screwed it up. So I thought, well, okay, I'm just going to spray it all over the whole thing and crinkle it up. And then I baked it, and then when I pulled it out, it was like really orange. I mean, it was just a little too orange for my taste. So I ran it under water, and luckily, because of what Marika had said, I knew that it would probably, a lot of it would wash out. So a lot of it did wash out. And keep in mind, I'd go over to the iron, and I would iron, kind of set it, and then I would go wet it again, and then crinkle it. Tons of things. I did tons of things. So I don't know how I ended up with this, but it got ever so slight kind of rusty look to it. Very mild mottled look, which I love. So I am really happy with the way all of these turned out. Like I said, this one started as a mushroom color, and all the rest of them were started out as white. So, and I did threw some floss on there. Yes, my swizzling leaves a little to be desired here toward there, but very subtle modeling. I just threw some tea and coffee that I had in the pot. I just kind of crinkled it, dripped it on there and let that dry. So can't really tell. A little bit there. I'm actually using this one on my flag maker piece. I decided to use that for the flag. So this started out as ecru. This was one of the 400s browns. For now, I just wanted to show these before I cut them up and use them for things, and just to encourage you to give it a try. It's really fun. When you're done, I just ironed the heck out of these to try to set it as much as I could, but I don't think it will. I'm going to really try hard not to get these wet, so or it'll all just disappear. So, okay, that's it. Talk to you later, guys. Bye. I just wanted to sit next to it first because I wanted to show you just kind of the relative size of it here. So I'm sitting on the floor. Yeah, so you can see it's a pretty good size, and it was professionally framed, and it smells really old. And I'm going to get a close-up of it. I'm going to turn the camera and show you the close-up detail of these motifs. Okay, so we're going to start down at the lower left, right here. If I get real close, it'll probably go out of focus, but you can see the weave on this fabric is really open. How close can I get? The stitches look amazing for the most part. There are some, but see how loose that weave is? And when I first saw this, I thought, oh, somebody just stitched a vintage sampler. I didn't even really pay much attention to it, because I just thought, oh, somebody probably just stitched a vintage sampler. But then when I got to looking at it, I thought, you know what, this may very well be that old, but you can kind of see there's some stitches there. So let's just move on over. Okay, so we've got a little dog here, the collar. And it's kind of wavy down here where it was framed. So then you've got this flowers here. The more I look at this, then you've got a squirrel. What does a squirrel mean, guys, in a vintage sampler? Oh, I should probably say, just in case, before I get to it, it says it's 1887. This word right here, I don't speak French, but I think when I looked it up, I think it means memories. So somebody with the initials F and B. That's all I know. So let's go back down here again. You've got the squirrel, and if you look here, it looks like some stitches got damaged right there. And there's a church, and then you've got some type of a deer. And then this one I love. I have no idea what that means, but it's different. It's like they just took this motif and it's full coverage right there. I mean, I just love this. It's so amazing. I just wish I knew what everything meant. I don't know if that's a butterfly or a bee. Maybe it's a bee. That's a butterfly. That's a bee of some kind, some flying object. So we're going back over here. And I'll just let you enjoy those. And this right here is a chair. I don't know what that means as far as samplers go. You got a couple of birds and a little leaf sprig there. A crown. You got this little chick with it, almost looks like a broken eggshell. This almost looks like a mortar. What is that called? Mortar and pestle? I can never say that. Mortar and pestle, or whatever that is, like that you see for grinding herbs. You know what I'm talking about, guys. Pestle. I don't know. You know what. Anyway, then we got another flying insect and another crown. Another little motif here. Okay, moving on up. Got more flowers here, and we've got this nice looking gentleman watching his wife in her garden, watering her roses. Their faces, I'll try to get closer. Her faces looks kind of strange. I can't really see any definition really where her forehead, lips, or where her eye is. But I love it. I think it's great. Every time I look at this, I find something new. I don't know what that is. Yeah, I don't know. Almost looks like or a guillotine or something, but I don't think that's what it is. And then you got another picture here. And coming over here, another bird. That might be another crown. Okay, and I need to scoot this down because my back is... Okay, we're reaching up to the top, and it looks like we've got a little mill of some sort. Another little church. Another bird. Another church, another crown, and then all these, look at all this decoration up along the top here. Did I point to that church yet? This almost looks like a tombstone, doesn't it? Some sort of a tombstone and an urn or something. I don't know. And then another house. These two houses here. And then I'm just going to zoom up to the very top. There's another crown up there too. Okay, let me pull this down just a little bit more and show you right up at the top. All of a sudden the quality of these stitches drastically changes from the rest of the piece. So I wonder what that means, guys. You know, did somebody not finish it? Or I mean, it almost looks like, if you look real closely, that there's more strands of floss there. You know, almost like there's 3 or 4 strands, and they almost like they were going to do a tent stitch and then change their mind. But right here, I mean, these stitches just look real, I don't know if they've just been smashed or, I don't know, just kind of interesting. Those don't really match the rest of the piece. Even when you get here, almost like somebody different stitched that part. So maybe somebody finished it, or maybe somebody younger. You know, I like to think maybe a child did it, but you can see that looks really different there. But look at how wide open the weave is. So, yeah, I think it's very interesting. So we'll scoot back here and show you again. One more piece. Sorry if I'm shaky, but there it is. Well, yeah, and I didn't tell you the story of how. So my mom just had it hanging in her house one day, and she doesn't do needlework. And I said, "Oh, wow, where did you get that?" And she said she had found it in a storage shed that her boyfriend had cleaned out. Now, her boyfriend has been somebody she's been dating for like 15 or 20 years. So, and she didn't really know much about it. And I think I had said that it was his mom's. Well, then when I asked him about it, he said no, that this belonged to his ex-wife. And it's been in storage for probably about 10 or 15 years, because when he got divorced, he said that he had bought her this and some other needlework, which I'm not showing that, guys, because I don't know if it's, what do you call it, like needlepoint, it looks like, or some type of tapestry or something. This one was more intriguing to me, so that's why I'm showing this one. But he said that he had bought this and those other 2 pieces at the Cherry Creek Arts Festival here in Colorado, which is sort of a high-end arts festival, and he says he remembers he paid a lot of money for this. So when they got divorced, he just had it, he put it in storage, and it's been in storage for at least 10 or 15 years. So when they went and finally cleaned out that storage shed, that's when my mom found it, and she hung it in her house. And then I noticed it wasn't hanging in her house anymore, and she had it up in her attic, and I thought I better grab it, because, so I can kind of say this was almost a rescue in some sense. I don't know what, I did tell my mom I wanted it, not to get rid of it, but sometimes, you know, moms, they only hold on to things for so long. If you don't come and get them, then they donate them. So this very well could have ended up at the Goodwill. So I would love to know anything about this that you guys can tell me. Anybody that knows anything about samplers, but it's pretty cool. I don't know where I'm going to hang it. Once again, it's not really my husband's style, so I don't think he's going to want it hanging just right in our house somewhere. So I'm going to have to wait till I get my craft room of my own, and I can hang it there and appreciate it in all its glory. So this really sparked my interest in vintage samplers. I really want to start stitching some of my own, because I think it's very cool. And once again, we know I don't have any idea at all who stitched this, or even how authentic it is, but I'm thinking just because the fact that he bought it old, and he's had it for a long time, and he paid good money for it, tells me that it probably is authentic. So I'm just going to flip it over real quick so you can see what the back looks like. professionally framed, and the only information, it's got a little bit of a tear right there, and the only information on the back is where it was framed. Armand Gallery, and that looks like it's in Toronto, Ontario. So, yep, that's it, guys. So, yeah, leave a comment if you know anything about if you know anything about this that you can tell me, and if not, I hope you enjoyed looking at it, and I think it's very cool. So, all right, guys, talk to you later. Bye. The video that never ends. Good morning, guys. It's June 7th, and I'm sitting out in my backyard. I'm talking kind of quiet because I don't want to wake up the neighbors that have their window open. Hopefully you can hear me. It's June 7th, and in the last time I filmed a clip, it was June 2nd, and it took me a few days to, there's a morning dove. It took me a few days to edit my video, which I hadn't done, and in the meantime I had some progress to show. So I just figured I'd add it onto this video. Why not? So I promise after this I will upload it so you can actually see it. Earlier in the video I said I had 1.5 birds to finish on my feasting frenzy, and I'm happy to say that I finished it. Yes, I have a finish, guys. One of my oldest whips, and here it is. Ta-da! It almost doesn't fit in the screen. I just love this. It's so colorful and so beautiful. Get a closer look so you can see all the different birds. And the one I was working on earlier, I had half of the cardinal done. Still needed to stitch the blue jay. And since I was doing the back stitching as I went along, it was nice because then I just had to back stitch those 2 birds, and it was done. Feasting Frenzy by Dimensions, and it's a kit that's still widely available. As a matter of fact, I still see it every time I go to Joann's. So yeah, I did wash it and I ironed it, and it seemed like there were some wrinkles in it that just were stubborn and didn't want to come out. You can't really see it in this, but I may need to do a little bit more ironing work on that though. And there's one thread that you can see. I don't know if you can see. I carried a thread right across there that is really visible in the right lighting, so I'll probably have to take care of that little thread. Because when I started this, how many years ago? 6 or 7 years ago? I don't know. Maybe, yes, about 6 years ago. I've learned a few tips and techniques since then, so I try not to carry my threads across those open spaces like that. So that's it. Okay, guys, so that brings me to one more thing that I want to talk about. No, 2 more things. Since I finished this, I have a really old, I've mentioned it before, really old whip. This is my oldest whip, and I've had it finished cross-stitching since about 2010 or 11. And all I had left to do was the back stitching on it, which I had mentioned before. It had called for a bunch of couching, which I was intimidated, didn't know how to do it. And since I did a whole bunch of couching on this project, and it's really easy, I'm not intimidated by it anymore. So I'm going to put this out here because I want you guys to help me remain accountable. This is the project. It was Dimensions, Chickadees on a Branch, and it was stamped when I originally got it. And I started working on the stamped project, but quickly found that it was not my thing. The fabric was really hard. You know, I don't know, it just I didn't really care for it. And that's what first brought me to the cross stitch forum online, because I went out to seek advice on how, you know, why this was so difficult to stitch on. And in my process of trying to learn more about it, I'm not quite sure how I came about it, but nonetheless, I decided to restart this again and do it on even weave, which I had never stitched on before. And since it was a stamped project, I wasn't sure how it would work, but it had all the symbols and it had all the chart on what to do. So I thought, well, why not? I'll just stitch it on even weave. So that's what I did. I did it on the MCG Textiles even weave, and you know, I think this piece ended up being okay. As far as, you know, I've had some bad luck with MCG Textiles. I mean, this kind of seemed like when I cut the fabric it was warped, but nothing too horrible. But anyway, this is what it looks like, and I did it on a much smaller count, so it ended up being, is it smaller count? Yes, higher count, however it is that makes it smaller, the higher count fabric, because I think this was stitched, I have no idea. Well, the stamped project, I don't know, they don't really have a count on that because it's kind of stamped on there, but this ended up, I think, dimension-wise being smaller, so I used a higher count even weave than what the original stamped image was. But this is beautiful, guys. You know, some couching that goes in here, some minimal back stitching in the birds, some branches, not a whole lot. I want to get this done by the end of June. That's my goal. So, help keep me accountable. You'll see this on Instagram as soon as I get it done. So, Chickadees on a Branch by Dimensions. Well, I had to cut my video because lawnmowers, trash trucks, dogs barking, everything got a bit loud, so it's been a little bit of time. I went in and had some breakfast, and now I'm back out in my backyard again, and I'm just going to finally finish up the last part of this video. This is an update on the flag maker, and I've gotten a little more done since I last showed you. And not much to say about that other than the fact that I'm kind of regretting my decision about using the floss that I aged on the flag, because had I thought about it, she just made that flag, so it's really not supposed to appear aged. So I'm such a dork, I don't know why I didn't think about that. So I'm going to leave it though, because I don't care. You know, maybe the fabric she had was aged, that she used to make the flag, because it is a flag maker. Yes, I mean, she just made the flag. There's her spool of thread. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I'm going to leave it. I used a different color for her, the lace and trim around her dress, because the color that it called for blended too much in with the background, and I missed a stitch right there. I have to add on, and let's see, I think that's all there is to say about that. So, flag maker, free from Not Forgotten Farm, go check it out. The one last thing I want to talk about is this lovely pattern that was graciously gifted to me. No, I'm still not using the word rack, because as I've mentioned in previous videos, I think that the word rack just has a violent sound to it. Whenever somebody says they've been racked, I still have that picture of that medieval torture system or something. So I was graciously gifted this Marjolaine Bastin pattern from a lovely lady named Janet from Instagram. She had just stitched it, and it was a beautiful, beautiful finish. She had it all framed, and I told her how much I loved it, and without even thinking, she just said, well, I'll send it to you if you want, which is another example of what a wonderful community this is and how generous everybody is and willing to share. I just think it's amazing. So thank you, Janet. I absolutely love it, and I can't wait to stitch it. So I'm going to be starting this alongside with my robin pattern, I think, because both of them are just gorgeous. I mean, my gosh. Next to bird feeders and bird houses, watering cans are my next favorite thing. And look at that beautiful watering can. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that too. When Janet stitched it, she didn't do any of this background, and I kind of like that idea because that's kind of tedious. So I think I may just follow what she did and leave that part out. So, and she also left out the strawberry because she thought it looked like a mushroom, and I agree with you, Janet. It looks like a mushroom. I think I'll leave that out too. Either that, or we can just pretend that there's a mushroom in there with the strawberries. But Anyway, yes, that's all I had to say about that. And one more thing I want to say, another correction from earlier on when I was talking about my pattern and the, Paula from the Crosswing collection. She had mentioned, I'll let you look at my yard while I'm talking, and my bird feeder over there. She had mentioned, I had mentioned that I wasn't getting compensated for any of the patterns that she was selling. And after I said that, I kind of thought that maybe that sounded like I wasn't compensated for my photo. And I just want you to know that Paula was very generous. She actually sent me a gift, a monetary gift, basically, with my pattern, which was absolutely unexpected and unnecessary, but greatly appreciated. And I just didn't want anybody to think that she had, just used my pattern and didn't think about compensating me for it. She was very generous. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to brag that I got paid, but I'm trying to make it sound like Paula she didn't just take advantage of me and use my photo and is now putting a pattern in her store and making money. I didn't want it to sound that way, because that's not how it was. And I also didn't want it to sound like I was trying to sell the pattern either. So let's just make that clear. I was paid for the use of my photo, but I'm not continuing to be paid by the patterns that she sells. So it was actually just, like I said, I didn't expect to be paid at all. So, the fact that she did was just completely generous and, like I said, unexpected and unnecessary, but very lovely of her to do so. So I just felt like I needed to straighten that out. So I think that's it, guys. I don't have anything else to say. I think I need to go edit this bad boy and get it uploaded so that you can enjoy it. I hope everybody has a wonderful summer until we chat again and get lots of stitching in. So I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye.